Our show is brought to you by Barreto Home Solutions, Bayou Audio and Video, Hot Works on the North Shore, JFK Martial Arts in Mandeville and Covington, Black Hawk Hauling, Lil Dizzy's Cafe, Wags Food and Culture, Moe's Pizza, The Green Law Firm, Personal Injury Attorney, Drums Earwear.
Hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move, 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 move. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. 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 Hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move, 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 move. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hash It Out Show. I'm your host, JB, the Sports Guy. I'm joined by my two co-hosts that work with Crescent City Sports. We have the one and only VK Jones, and we have George GP Peppers. As we continue our previews of the high school football season for this year here in Louisiana tonight, we will preview the Shreveport area. Joining us tonight is our good friend from the Shreveport Times, the one and only Mr. Jimmy Watson. Mr. Watson, how you doing, sir?
I am awfully good, awfully good. Glad to be a part and bridge the gap between North and South Louisiana. It's always a good thing when that happens.
It's a great thing all the time. Yes, sir. George, I'm gonna start with you. I know you got a question you want to ask Jimmy right off the bat.
Actually, two in reference to Calvary, if that's okay. The
Yes.
first one, let's harken back to the championship game against St. Charles last year. You were there? Were you there?
I was.
Okay. Did you at any point think Calvary was going to chase down St. Charles with the deficit that they faced? Did you have a
No,
feeling that?
absolutely no way. I was sitting in the media room, had already written my story with Calvary losing, was ready to
Mm,
post it when I went, uh-oh, I better go back out there and watch a
that
little
fourth
bit
down play
more.
changed everything, didn't it?
It did. It was
Hmm.
incredible finish. I haven't seen a finish like that down there in New Orleans in quite some time. If you're a Calvary fan, it sure made for an exciting night and an exciting
Hmm.
game. But yeah, I didn't. I thought St. Charles was a lot better team, more talented, deeper, and everything. But everything fell Calvary's way. It was almost like they were destined to win that game.
Well, I mean, considering, and it brought up a vigorous debate amongst the three of us in reference to the situation that manifested itself that allowed Calvary a chance to win it, and that's the fourth down play. I don't want to
Yeah.
address that with you. I do want to go ahead onto this year and looking at the preseason ratings. All right, Calvary's bringing back studs. Abram Wardell is back. James Simon is back. This defense is going to be better. They've got other really good targets. Are they, Mr. Jimmy, the best team in the state, regardless of class, in your opinion, before we start? When you look at the composition of the other teams in the state, can you make the argument that Calvary Baptist is the number one team in the state?
Well, I definitely think they're the number one team in our
Uh-oh.
area, in our region, statewide. I don't see enough of the teams from St. Thomas More and across to really be able to judge that or to know who they got coming back. But Calvary, not only do they have a lot coming back, and I apologize for not looking directly. I'm driving right
Oh,
now,
you
so
good? You're
just trying
good.
to keep my eye on the road. They recruited a couple of kids. I say recruited, that could be termed illegal, but they got Devin Harper from Captain Shreve, who's a number 5 in the country offensive lineman, stud. He's intelligent. He's got great feet. He's 6'4", 6'5", 320 pounds. Kid can play. Everybody in the country wants him. He's an LSU commit. He went from Captain Shreve and will play his senior year, I guess, because he wants to win a state championship or have the opportunity to at Calvary. He wouldn't have had that opportunity at Captain Shreve, I don't believe. And then they also picked up the best wide receiver from Huntington, a kid who's 6'2" and about 210, who's being recruited by a lot of people. You know, they lost a couple of pretty good receivers, but they've got a couple back. Plus, they picked up the Caleb Carper, Caleb Carter kid from Huntington, who is very, very talented. So, yeah, they're ready to rock and roll with Abram Wardell. He passed for about 4,000 yards last year, despite not playing half of their district games because their district is so weak. And that's what tends to kind of hurt Calvary a little bit in the playoffs is they finish the season with 4 or 5 district games, and they're not very good district games. So when they start playing real teams in the playoffs, it gets a little tougher for them there until they get their feet on the ground.
Jimmy, Evangel moves back up to 5A this year.
Yes, sir.
Had a good team last year. Peyton Fulgham, Parker Fulgham, um, Gabrielle Relaford was the best defensive player I saw with my own eyes last year. And now you got to replace those guys.
Right.
And we know about the Peyton Houston, who's going to be the starting quarterback for Evangel. But what else can you tell us about Evangel?
Well, they've got a kid in the a linebacker who's probably the best defensive player I saw last year out of anybody. Davari, I can't think of the kid's last name right now, but he is a stud. He reminds me a lot of that kid that came from Evangel to LSU a couple of years ago. That could really hit people. He's just a kid that loves to hit. So I think their defense is probably going to be a little bit better. Denny Duran has said that he's got the best and deepest wide receiver core that he's ever had, which is saying a lot because they've had a lot of good wide receivers come through there, and they've got at least 7 or 8 wide receivers that can play. So that's a lot of talent to throw out there, a lot of kids to try to keep happy. So we'll just see. We'll just see. I don't know about their line, offensive line, how good it is. They lost 2 or 3 kids in there that were solid for them. So I think playing 5A will be a good test for them.
Most definitely. Do you know if they were able to add more depth to the team? Can you hear me, Jimmy?
Yep, well, I do now. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know if they were able to add more depth to their team this season?
A little bit, not a whole lot. You know, they're a pretty
Okay.
small school, only got about 500 students. So they didn't add a whole lot of depth, but they have added a little bit. If Peyton Houston doesn't get hurt, you know, he's a kid that's going to give them a chance to win
Yeah.
just about any game they're in. But, you know, how they'll line up against, I guess it'd be 8 other 5A teams. That'll be the true test if they can stay healthy all the way through that, because there's not a lot of great talent in District 1 5A, but there's a lot of size and there's a lot of even teams. You know, Airline has
Yeah.
been picked to win the district, overwhelming choice. I did a little poll of the coaches a couple of weeks ago, and they were the overwhelming choice to win with Parkway finished second, and Evangel was down there about the middle of the road as far as how the other coaches believe they'll finish.
Speaking of Airline, we know about Ben Taylor, threw for over 4,000 yards, 49 touchdowns last year. And me and VK and George, we always say if Airline had a better defense, they'll probably win the state championship. What can you say about the Airline Vikings for this upcoming season?
I think they'll be offensively motivated, a lot like Parkway was a few years ago with David Feaster, because Justin Scoggin, the coach, played or coached under Feaster. He was Feaster's offensive coordinator. So he really doesn't put a whole lot of emphasis on defense. I think he does more now as a head coach because he realizes he has to. But they're a team that's going to, you know, be able to put up 45, 55 points on anybody, but they're probably going to give up 40, 45 points a game too. Um, would be my opinion because nothing much has changed defensive wise over there. They don't have a lot of size on their defense. Their line doesn't control a lot, but they'll be in any game they play, just like they were last year. They should have made it further in the playoffs than what they did, but they didn't get the right breaks.
Union Parish won a state championship last season. What are they bringing back this season?
They've dropped down from 3A to 2A.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a key. They're going to play Calvary week 7, I believe. So that's going to be a ringtail too. You got two state championship teams faring off in a district race in week 7. It's in Farmerville, so I may try to go up there for that one because I believe it'll be a good one. As far as Union Parish, they've got a couple of kids back, but not a lot of size, and obviously their numbers have dropped somewhat, which is why they've gone down a class with the classifications and stuff. So we'll see. But they also got Joe Spatafora as the coach, and
Yep.
he never puts a bad team on the field. If if they've got a team, it's going to be one that'll kick your butt if they get any kind of opportunity to do so.
VK.
Mr. Jimmy Watson, man, it's good to meet you. Good to see you, man. Good to have you on the show and
Yes, sir.
everything. All right. I gotta ask you this. Two teams kind of interesting here, and especially the transitions. Captain Shreve, a program that always try to make a come up, but just can't get over that one big hump. But
Mm-hmm.
now they have a new head coach. And Seabird, kind of an unusual season last year. Little lean year for them. Is it a bounce back year for Seabird? And what's going on with Captain Shreve this season with the transition?
Well, they both got senior quarterbacks who were in place last year. The Captain Shreve quarterback got hurt about the second or third game of the season, missed the entire rest of the season. So he should be back going full speed. But the thing about Captain Shreve is they got 5 kids being recruited, including a couple of kids that have got Power 5 offers. Lionel Prudhomme, offensive defensive tackle, he's been offered by everybody from LSU to Oklahoma all the way down. Has not, well, I'm trying to remember if he's committed. Yeah, I think he committed to maybe TCU recently, but he's a big kid and he's a force on both sides of the ball. And then they've got a defensive back who's also being recruited by Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and some of those level schools. So they're gonna be pretty solid, and most of those kids are on defense. So I'd look for Shreve to be in the mix with everything that they're doing. As far as Bird, um, Bird, their issue is they don't have any airplay. They don't throw the ball, so it's pretty much one dimensional. Everybody has trouble with them because they're running that veer every year, and people only see it once a year. So it kind of tends to give people a little bit of trouble. But they don't have the size and the depth to go a long way outside of the district. They can be disruptive in the district, but once they get into the playoffs, particularly on the select side, they don't generally go very far.
It's amazing that they still run the same offense that they
Hmm.
did for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Almost similar to John Curtis, but at least John Curtis sometimes adds a passing game into their mantra a little bit. But
Yep.
but looking at go ahead, no, go ahead, Jimmy.
I was just going to say it hurts Bird too because a lot of kids offensively don't want to go there because they don't want to play that. They can't get a quarterback that throws well because they know going there they're only going to get to throw 5 or 6 times a game. So consequently, those kind of guys and the wide receivers don't want to go there. Running backs, yeah, they'll go there, but that's about it.
Another team that is on the cusp and want to try to bring a state championship home. That is North DeSoto, and a very good quarterback that they have, very experienced, and I believe he's just I believe a junior this year coming
Right.
up, and also a very very good coach and looking to try to finally get North DeSoto there. Does North DeSoto finally have a chance to win the whole thing this year?
Yeah, probably so. They're in a good division, a good division for them. It's probably among the top 3 or 4 divisions. It's probably the weakest division, the select. Um, I mean, the non-select Division 2. That that's enable them to make a long run. Luke Delafield is a quality quarterback. He's getting a lot of offers already, and of course he's been starting since he was a freshman, which has given him a key. Problems he's had in the past is throwing interceptions in big games. You know, he in that state championship game 2 years ago, I think he threw four interceptions, and that was basically the difference in the game. Last year they were playing airline, game went down to the line, and he threw three or four interceptions in that game. But then he'll get another game where he'll throw 4 or 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. So he's got to get that consistency thing going. But he's the kid that gives them a chance, and they've got two or three receivers that are like possession receivers, so they can go. Got a couple of good running backs, and their defense under Dennis Dunn is always very strong. He's one of the best coaches that I've seen, and obviously won state championships at Evangel. He did very well at Pineville. He did well at Louisiana College when he was coaching an AD there. So he's always been a winner, and he's gonna give them a chance, but particularly in that division they're in.
Taking a look at a couple other teams that and it's two interesting programs. I don't know if we can go this deep. Maybe one Oak Grove. You know what I'm saying? Interesting
Yeah,
with them that
yeah.
they are moving up to 2A. And actually, I don't know if they're moving up to 2A, I believe, right? Right on, Jimmy?
Uh, I believe they're moving to 2A. Yeah,
Yeah, they're moving up to 2A, returning
but
a
they're.
lot of people,
Hmm.
and they're looking like to try to maybe win another state championship. And also Washita Christian, they lost a lot, but I think they might be strong again. What are your thoughts on them two teams?
Well, I don't get to see them because they're over in the Monroe area very much, unless
Right.
they come over here and play somebody. But from following them and trying to keep up with them, talking to the coaches from time to time, Oak Grove is going to be every bit as good as they were last year. I don't see them slacking off. They've got a really good quarterback, really good defense. I don't know as much about Washita Christian, although I know they had about 3 or 4 kids that were recruited last year and ended up signing with Power Five schools. So they're going to probably be a little bit off their game, but they're kind of like the John Curtises of the world and the Evangels of the world. They're always put a good team out there, no matter who they're playing.
Judge Peppers.
I'm gonna take it from here because George is having internet problems. I'll take it from here.
Go ahead, go
Jimmy,
ahead.
what can you tell us about Parkway? Because Brotherton got his team to the playoffs last year. A long road trip to Belle Chase, Louisiana, where they lost that game. But you said they're picked to finish second in that district. What can you tell us about Parkway?
Yeah, that kind of surprised me too. They've got a kid, Devin Oliver, a defensive lineman who's got a lot of Power Five offers. Probably will end up going to LSU, I'm guessing, but he hadn't made a commitment yet. But their big thing is they've got a ton of running backs. They've got like I think Coach told me they have 6 running backs who could start. They've got a senior who's about 6 foot 6'1", 220, who will be leading the way, but they'll just be able to wear people out, pounding them with all these running backs who are in size and ability. I think that's what's going to make a difference for them and why people are a little bit scared of them because of Devin Oliver, which I'm getting ready to write a feature story on him. Good kid, solid kid, makes good grades, and he's a big time hitter, big time player.
Okay. What about Huntington?
Huntington, that's an unusual case there. They of course, moving up from 4A to 5A. 4A
Yeah.
was pretty good to them. I think they'll be competitive in 5A. Coach Steve Dennis has made a lot of improvements over there in the 4 or 5 years he's been there. He's gotten when he took over, they were barely able to field the team with a number of kids. Now he's got 100 kids out for football, and even though he lost Caleb Tucker to Calvary, he's still got a lot of talent back, and I think they're going to be right in there in the race. They did lose their offensive coordinator, Jeremy Sowell, as the new head coach at Captain Shreve. So he had to hire a new offensive coordinator this year. So that may change things up a little bit, but they promoted from within. So I see them still being a high octane offense. And where they're located, they've always got athletes, always got a ton of athletes over there. Can they make a run in the state playoffs? Yeah, probably. This might be their best year, but it'll be kind of hard to judge since they say the District 1-5A now has 9 teams in it. So that's 8 games that you're playing against district opponents, only 2 non-district opponents. That makes it a little tougher on some of the schools that aren't as depth. But Huntington has got the depth to make a good run.
The Haynesville Tornadoes. What about them?
Yep, they were the solid pick in the poll I recently did to win District 1-1A. They don't have Homer in there this year. Homer moved up to 2A, so they're still going to play each other earlier in the year than what they normally usually play that the last game of the season. So I think Haynesville's not going to have any trouble in district, other than Glenbrook could give them a little bit of a trouble. But other than that, they'll smoke through District 1-1A. He's got a good bit of talent back from last year. Kavashian Taylor, I think is the kid's last name. He's a multi position kid, play defensive back and play wide receiver. He's one that gives them a lot of oomph on the offense and defensive side. So I think they'll be playing for a state title. Now they got wore out pretty good last year by Oak Grove in that championship game, but
Yeah.
that was kind of a telltale. But in talking to Coach Franklin before that, it was not unexpected. I don't know what they're doing in Oak Grove, but they're feeding those boys well over there.
Yes, they are.
Yes,
Go ahead,
sir.
BK.
Yeah, I gotta ask you this. In the Shreveport area, we just named a lot of pretty good teams and everything else. Which team out in your area? We know some of the contenders, but which team do you think could be a sleeper that could come out of nowhere and really have a really good year like Captain Shreve did last season?
Well, of course, I wouldn't say Airlines a sleeper, but I think they could have a good year. I would point to Parkway as a team that could make a run, could surprise a lot of people. Calvary, there's a no doubter. They should play for a state championship. If they're not, Rodney Guin should be fired after winning the state championship last year. if you if you would fire the guy over that, but yeah, they've done a really good job. Um, and I don't really see anybody else in there being able to make a run. Logansport, they're a 1A school that's probably going to be right in there fighting for a state title again, just like they are every year. They've got a ton of kids back that are very very talented. Um, and then of course West Monroe over in the Monroe area, they're kind of a wild card. You never know. They've been well in the past, but I don't know who all they've got coming back. But I would be willing to bet that they're going to be in there.
And is and your thoughts also like the way things are going. Like a lot of things have changed. Like we know Shreveport right now is the hotbed more than Monroe, more than anything else, because
Yeah.
besides Ruston has been really have taken over that whole area more than anything else. And it's interesting that Neville has now moved back to 5A. So, it seemed like the power shift has really gone down to Shreveport.
Yeah, and that's kind of weird because there was a statewide poll that came out recently. I don't remember who did it, Max Preps or somebody did it, and they had 0 teams from the Shreveport or Monroe area on the poll, the statewide poll. They had all the
All
teams. They had Alexandria, they had Ash from Alexandria, and that was the only team from Alexandria North that was on there. So that if that was accurate, which I don't think it was, because obviously Calvary, if nobody else, should have been on there. It'll be interesting to see how the Shreveport teams do and how much they get beat up trying to play 8 games against 5A opponents and not having but a couple of off weeks when they can play a little bit lower level school, rest some of their kids that are hurt, and get them going strong before the playoffs. It may work out to their advantage because they're having to play somebody competitive week after week after week. It could also work against them if they suffer injuries to some of their better players.
Gotta ask you this one last thing here. A very familiar name returning to high school coaching. That's Brett Laird. He's coming back and he's coaching Natchitoches Central.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts of him returning to coaching, but not just that, trying to improve a Natchitoches Central team that had to transition from another head coach in Jess Curtis last season now Laird, and I know Laird is probably excited to be back in the high school ranks.
He is, and he's a good guy, class guy. He's a guy that'll, if you want to call him, he'll pick up the phone and answer it. Didn't matter whether he was the Northwestern head coach or the Ruston head coach as he was previously, or now as the Natchitoches coach. If you're a media person and you got something to say about his team, he'll talk to you. Um, I think I think he'll turn Natchitoches Central into a winner in a fairly short period of time. I don't know that that will be this year. Of course, Jess Curtis kind of laid a foundation a little bit last year, but although they didn't have that good a year, they lost several close games that they could have won. And if Brad can play off of that, I think he could have a lot of success. And they were picked to finish last in our district. That will surprise a lot of people because he knows what he's doing. Obviously, he had success at Ruston High. His stint at Northwestern ended on a stinky note with the issues that they had with a couple of players and in the dorm and everything. It ended on a bad note, and it was unfortunate for a guy that likes to do things the right way. He'll build that program the right way, and Natchitoches Central will be a winner within a couple of years under him, I believe.
Jared?
Two more questions, Jimmy, and I'll get you out of here. What can you tell us about Benton?
Benton, they've got the best offensive lineman in this area other than Devin Harper. Whit Van Hoy, he is a TCU commit. Probably could go to LSU, could go somewhere else, but he got ticked off at LSU because they were supposed to come up and see him, and the coach didn't call and let him know. So he got ticked off about that. Whoever the offensive line coach is at LSU. Same thing happened at Ole Miss or somewhere else. So he committed to TCU, and I'm pretty sure he's going to stay with TCU unless barring something happened. Other than that, I think Benton is a middle of the road District 1 5A team. They've got a couple of kids that can play, but they've got a lot of kids that are just hardworking kids, like to be out there, but they don't have a whole lot of extra talent. They don't have a lot of offensive firepower, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Last question. What can you tell us about Bossier?
Bossier High
Yes, sir.
got a second-year coach that used to be at Houghton. I think they'll be improved this year. How much that will show on the field remains to be seen because they've got a fairly strong schedule, and they haven't had any kids move into that area. They're down on numbers. They're very good at soccer, obviously, very good at basketball. They're right in there contending for the state title in basketball every year. Football, not so much. They have trouble getting the kids to come out, and they've struggled with numbers for the last 4 or 5 years. This new coach seems to be making some headway in getting some more kids out. Gary is, but I don't think it's going to help them much this year.
Gotcha. Jimmy Watson of the Shreveport Times. Thank you, my friend. We truly appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, appreciate y'all.
Definitely, definitely.
Thank you, Mr. Watson.
You
Yes,
too.
You
sir.
too.
Bye.
Our buddy Jimmy Watson joining us again for the second straight year, giving us the previews on the Shreveport teams. And VK, while my man George is having trouble with his internet.
It's that I ain't gonna lie, this time it's
That rain was something else.
That rain came like
Whew.
right
Bam.
there. And it's funny because I'm watching the news.
Knockout shots from that rain because the internet did go out here at one time.
Yeah.
Came back on. Yeah.
Right.
Go
What
ahead.
happened was I seen the news and a lot of warnings outside in the western part of the state
Yeah.
and everything. And then all of a sudden, I just knew something was up because I'm looking outside and rain clouds around Marrero and stuff. I'm like, oh, we're about to get a little something here. So it came down for a good little bit, man. So George might have a little trouble. I'm glad he's back right now. But
Yeah.
it's not surprising. It's knocking off maybe some connections. So there's
Like people, seriously. I'm sitting here waiting for George and VK to come on. VK on his computer waiting for me to come on and waiting for George to come on. George waiting for me and VK to come on. Like we were on. And I'm like, where y'all at? He like, waiting on you. I said, I'm waiting on you. George like, I'm waiting on y'all. So I refreshed the whole thing and there we are. I'm like, good God.
God bless the internet, fellas.
Oh man! All right, we got over 20 minutes before Chris Singleton joins us to talk about the Bayou area teams. Yes, George, the Bayou area, not the River Parishes. All right.
So teams like Vanderbilt Catholic and teams like that,
Yes,
Yes, yes,
we're,
George.
we're, we're
Not
going.
Hornville, not East St. John, like you did
and
last year.
We're,
and the
we're
number
going.
one and the number one food place, right? VK South Black.
South
South
Plaque, not
Pleasant.
Bayou, man.
That's
They near the
Plaquemines.
bite. The what?
No, man.
No, that's not
No, George. South
close.
Plaque, not Bayou.
That's
We talking
Plaquemines
like
Parish.
we talking
We're
about
talk we're
yes.
talking from in Homer, like Ellender, H.L.
Oh, the
Bourgeois,
irrelevant squads.
Terrebonne,
I got
all
you.
the way down,
Vanderbilt Catholic,
all the
Morgan
way
City,
down.
Oh wait,
Patterson.
Yes.
haven't we had enough Vanderbilt talk?
It's
I mean,
this is
Van
VANDE
Belt. Yeah, I get it.
VILT. This ain't
I
Vanderbilt.
know.
So see, BK, I got you,
Listen.
BK.
hmm We're
Oh,
talking
you
about the
George.
got them.
Terrier. We're talking about the Terriers, not the
Yeah, the Terriers,
Terminals.
the
Oh, I
dogs.
know.
George, we'll
Yes,
start
sir.
with you. So you heard what our good friend Jimmy had to say about Calvary Baptist. Your
hmm
thoughts on Calvary Baptist?
Look, I think they're the most potent offense in the state. I don't think there's any question. I think this is a team that will average north of 40 to 45 points a game. Uh, I haven't seen their schedule as of yet.
I
I
got the
do.
schedule.
Okay, if you could pull it up,
I
and
got you. Go ahead.
all right, brother. But that's a good thing. I believe in this Cavalier team, but I told VK this when we left the luncheon today. I said, Cavalry might be the best team in the state, but they could walk away empty-handed. You
Yeah,
know, somebody could pull. They could do like the 2011 Saints. Because the argument about that was that 2011 Saints would have destroyed the 2009 Saints that won the Super Bowl.
that's what they
And
say.
Calvary may be. I'm not trying to put a high school team next to a pro team, but the connotation is that. And you have the schedule. 'Cause I
I
feel
got
like
it.
you've got it.
So I got it.
All right.
So next week they scrimmage Huntington, and then the Jamboree is against Union Parish.
Interesting.
So
Style clash there.
they're gonna play Union Parish twice.
Yeah, once in
Um,
the regular season.
yeah, week one, Oak
hmm
Grove,
Oh,
state champions. Week two, Westgate. Week three, Franklin Parish. Week four, the Auburn Woods. Week five, Magnolia Charter. Week six, Homer. Week seven, Union Parish. Week
okay.
eight, they play Huntington again. Week
Okay.
nine, Green Oaks.
hmm
Week 10, North Cattle.
See, that schedule doesn't seem power laden, really, to be honest, except for a couple of games. I mean, there's games that look like absolute gimmies. I mean, the you mentioned the Auburn Woods. That's the team that coach ran his mouth, I think, last year, and they got humbled. I think against was it Notre Dame?
Yeah,
Was it them?
I think
Yeah, that
so.
was the one that coach mouthed off on the social media platforms. Yeah, and then he got humble pie.
Yeah,
And
humble pie.
Austin
Yeah.
Tyler, I see your question. Look, does Airline have a Division One running back that can compensate what Abram Wardell could do throwing the football? No. I think Calvary's. I would take Calvary's offense. As good as Ben Taylor is, he doesn't have that dude in the backfield that I feel like can compare to James Simon, and that could shorten games when need be. Now, going back to the schedule,
Austin also, remember this, Austin, with James Simon at the running back, Abram Wardell threw for 4,000 yards also. Go ahead,
yes,
George.
he did. Yes, he did. That validates it even more. And 45-2. I still harken on 45-2.
45 touchdowns
45
and 2 picks. Yeah, it's
two
crazy.
picks. That's ridiculous. 15
Yeah.
games, you do that. Yeah, that's crazy. But there's not a lot of tests. The Westgate game in week two, I think that's more of a test for Westgate to see where they're at with a healthy Jabari Antoine. I think that's a unique challenge. Union Parish, for what they do physically, I don't think they can fool with them on the perimeter. I think Calvary will win that game pretty solidly. Um, Huntington, it's not one of the stronger teams up there. I think they'll dust them. There's not a whole lot to me that Calvary will get pushed in the regular season. And if I'm not mistaken, that they're staying put in the division playoffs. Correct? If I'm not
Division
mistaken,
Division Three select. Yes.
they are staying. They are staying there. Now,
Yeah.
I can't think off the top of my head who can challenge them in Division 3. Just thinking. Yeah, St. Charles was there, but they're not there now. Maybe Dunham. I
Maybe
mean, I don't
Dunham,
know.
maybe
Maybe,
Lafayette Christian, maybe
maybe
Lafayette
LC.
Christian.
See, I'm not sure about LC. You know
I'm not sure
why?
either. I'm not
Here,
sure
You
either
know,
because I don't see nobody beating Calvary. Go ahead, VK.
I
I don't
see that.
either.
I see one team that could beat them, and I'm gonna say it to the cows come home. A meet. I'm telling you
Not a
now.
chance.
Remember the last state championship they won. They lost
Yes.
the year before to Manny, and they was young, and they returned everybody. And what Amy did, they finished the job.
Wait, but
Amy
wait.
has at
A meet moved to select.
yes, they're in
Okay.
Division 3
I think they were
select.
not select.
No, they're Division
No,
Three select.
Okay. I
I'm
stand
saying they
corrected
moved.
then.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm saying here's your opponent because the thing is, yeah, Abram Waddell, James, they got weapons, but a meat got experience returning and they had athletes and speed to match up with them. So this is a good opponent that they'll face down the line. If it's not in the state championship, maybe in the semifinals, because this AME team is definitely going to be much better than last season. And sometimes when you have young teams, they build that experience, they start doing well late in the season, and it gives momentum to the next year. And usually AME teams that come back, they be ready to roll. So I really think that could be. I think Calvary can win this whole thing, but I think Amy would be a good opponent. And I think the other opponent you mentioned, I believe you said
I didn't say
not
anybody
not not
really.
not, not LC,
I
but it
said
was another
Dunham.
He said Dunham.
Dunham. I think Dunham is a team possibly that could pop them
Got a hell of a
because that
quarterback.
quarterback there, oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
he's
If
got game.
he's got really good game. And I
Yes.
think he's hungry to get Dunham back in that dome. I would be
Don't
I,
surprised Dunham will be a
don't
big
y'all
tough
find it
contender.
crazy that for 2027 we have the state of Louisiana has the number one overall rated quarterback, and that's the one for Dunham, and they have the number one dual threat quarterback, and that's Pete Houston at Evangel. That is crazy to me. That is crazy.
I don't
Go
think
ahead,
so.
George.
Wow.
I don't think so. I mean,
For
look,
this state, for
quarterback,
this state,
quar-
yeah, that's
quarterback,
crazy. You
quarter
got the
for
number
a
one
state that.
overall rated quarterback, so he's probably the
Mhm.
number one pure pocket passer, and then the number one dual threat. That is for Louisiana. That is
For
crazy. The same
okay,
class, 2027.
for a quarterback class that produced the Mannings, three of them, Josh Booty, Philip Dees, a
Yeah,
lot of studs, a
yeah.
lot of studs.
I get what you're saying, but what I'm trying to say is we're talking nationwide
Right?
overall ranked quarterback, number one, and that means he's the number one ranked pocket passer. And you got
Hmm.
the dual threat, and they both in the class of 2027. We've seen great quarterbacks, like you said, but to have the two best quarterbacks
Diverse.
in our state, yeah, that is
Right.
crazy for 2027. That's my point.
I get it. Let me throw another team into the mix. Back to the who can beat Calvary. I don't think anybody will at the end of the day. I don't think it's a meet. I think a meet. I get what you're saying, VK, and we get to see them in week 5 against Kentwood, and that's going to be a litmus test for them too, because Kentwood embarrassed them last year. They really worked them last year, and it's going to be interesting to see what the Warriors have done this year to try to rectify that beatdown that they took. The team that I don't I don't want to get behind them because they get to a certain point and they fall on their face is Newman. Newman. I think they're Division 3, correct?
They're Division 3 select
Select.
also. Yes, yes, they
Right.
are.
But that could be an interest. And look, Nelson Stewart's one of the nicest coaches that we know. He's one of the most classiest coaches, and he's had teams that were state championship worthy, but have run into buzzsaws, in some years.
Yeah,
And maybe it's a sneak up on people kind of year because they're not going to expect nobody's going to expect Newman to really pounce and beat up people. To me, at the end of the day, if you're asking me to pick a potential state championship opponent, it's Dunham. I think they're the team that's got the bounce back. And remember, 2 years ago, should have beat St. Charles. Else we wouldn't have been talking about a potential three-peat. They should have beat St. Charles. They had them people beat, and the Comets got off the mat in the fourth quarter, got it done, made some big stops. I think Dunham is itching to get back. Meat's going to have a nice year. I think we understand that. And Zephaniah Powell is a very good coach. And he even said to us before the Kentwood game last year when we had him, what did he tell us? I'm worried about my youth. And that's why I was so convinced Kentwood would pop him. And, prophecy, he felt like a prophet and made us look good for those that think Kentwood, you know, and not trying to, not really trying to dig or nothing like that. Not doing that at all. But I, Amy's got to show me a little bit more. I feel like I'm going to see what they got in week 5 against. We're going to see what they got in week 5 against Kentwood, part of our Hash It Out show game of the week season, this our second season. And um, VK, you forgot to send that to me. The list of
Oh man, I'm
the
so my bad. I am
you good,
so sorry.
but
I
I could.
caught up
So
with some.
which ones can't win that we cannot announce week 6 because we don't have that yet?
Well, we're gonna announce it later on the show. I want to still talk
Okay,
about this. Here's my question now, because I just thought of a team, and I don't know if they're still in Division 3 select or if they moved up to Division 2 select. That is U Lab.
you think they have that kind of team that can challenge Calvary?
I
They
think they
yes,
do. Honestly,
yes.
I
If
agree.
they in
I
Division
agree with Jared.
yeah, if they in Division 3
They
select,
return a lot
yes
of
they
people.
do. If they in
They
Division
do.
Two select, they can
Robin
challenge them
talked
people
about it.
too. You got
All right.
Keelan Moses at linebacker. You got the quarterback who's an Ole Miss commit. You high got some people. I just don't know if they still in Division 3 select or if they moved up. Either way,
Let me
they
say.
gonna compete in
They're
either
going to
one.
mess up some people. They're going to do some damage this year.
Yeah.
At least
Yes.
they're forecast to. And if they're still Division 3, let's understand one thing. That's an atypical Division 3 because they got some big guys on the front in the trenches. They got dudes. They got dudes with size that can do some that can block, and that's a very key component to neutralize a good defense and defensively to try to slow down. And if they have speed on that defensive side of the ball in a potential matchup with Calvary, you got to be able to get James Simon and neutralize him. How do you do that? I mean, he's so difficult to bring down. He's not a guy that's going to go down on first contact.
No.
He's a very,
You I'm
very tough
sorry.
runner. And Wardell is so accurate with the football, throwing it the way he does. Not saying he's like, I mean, and he's not even one of the best, one of the most highly recruited quarterbacks, Abram Wardell.
But he's
I
good.
mean,
He's good.
he should be
Yes.
Ben Taylor, the kid from Ruston, guys like that, you know, um, they're getting more ink than him. And I mean, is it justified? Probably, but it should be a very interesting Division 3 select playoff because I think the regular season, save for the Westgate game and maybe Union Parish, there's not much that's awaiting Cavalry that's going to give them real resistance. To be honest, I think 10-0 is pretty much. I don't want to say a lock because
A
Westgate, I got
lot.
too much. I mean, they'll beat Westgate because even with
They
Jabari
might not.
Antoine,
They might not.
they,
It was a close
that game
game
is
last
that
year.
game is
That
in
was a close
Calvary.
game. It's in
That
Calvary.
game is where is that game? It's at Shreveport.
Yes, Shreveport. Yeah.
That probably wins them that game, and it's going to be close. The home field
Remember,
may decide that.
let's remember this. That's the game Jabari Antoine got hurt,
Yes, he did.
and Westgate was
And
driving with the backup quarterback and threw an interception. They were
yep,
like in the
and
red zone. They threw a pick, and that was the game.
and they were going for the win on that drive. So
What you got,
yeah, I
VK?
mean,
ULab is Division 2 select.
They moved up.
so
All
They
right,
moved
that
they
up.
debunks
moved
that
up.
argument.
Yeah, there you
They
go.
moved up. But
All
at the
right,
same
go
time,
ahead.
it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward more than anything else. And I'm gonna tell you one thing: the game, like the Westgate game, is gonna be close, but I ain't gonna lie. The Union Parish game is gonna be tricky. They got to go up there. It's gonna be a tricky game because I'm telling you, I think Coach Spatafor is gonna have them ready to go. They're not gonna lay down against that
Proving
team.
ground.
They're not going to exactly. It's a proving ground game. Defending state champions hosting another defending state champion in the
Hmm.
same district now. So that could be district championship game right there. So
I'm
everything
gonna
on the
say this.
line.
We know Coach Spatafora likes it when no one talks about his team.
No,
No
Right.
one talks about a team, but I want to move on right quick to the Evangel Christian Eagles. And Evangel was putting up points last year that we know.
hmm
Came down to Shaw. And in a defensive ball game, Shaw won 20-13. Holding Evangel to 13 points was pretty stunning. But losing Peyton and Parker Fulgham, losing Gabriel Williford, like I said, just had me thinking like, okay, are they able to replace him? I knew with Peyton Houston replacing um, Peyton Fulgham, the
Algo.
quarterback, I knew that was set in stone. Um, what I forgot to ask is Peyton Houston sitting out till week 3? Because I think he played in week 1 and week 2 at Calvary Baptist last season. I don't know, but regardless of that, from what Jimmy said about Evangel and the players they got, I'm telling you, guys, if they can stay healthy, Division One select might want to watch out for Evangel. And I'm not going by the glory days of Evangel many years ago. I'm going by what I saw last year, and I know with the quarterback they have, they may do some damage. VK.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree because I have to see more film on Peyton Houston, but what I've been hearing from a lot of folks, he is a dog, and
Yeah,
he can really, really come in. Now him stepping in as the quarterback for the Evangel Eagles, and I really think that's the thing that's going to get them going. Depth is going to be the thing that's going to get Evangel, but if they can get some big wins on that schedule, that's going to help them tremendously going forward. And yeah, that could be a dangerous team in Division One Select. It's going to make it a lot more interesting with them in that Division One and teams like STM in Division One as well. It's gonna be. I'm gonna tell you this. We see some good playoff runs, interesting playoff runs in Division One these last 2 years in
yeah.
select side. This year, I thought last year was possibly the toughest. This year might top it because these teams are coming to bear, and it's going to be added challenges for like the Cat League teams and all these other teams. So it's going to be crazy.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Jordan.
I
George,
see
your
that.
thoughts? Yeah. George, your thoughts about Evangel?
Look, the intrigue is real with Evangel Christian, and I'm not going to base it on the past either. I'm going to base it on what we know. Peyton Houston is a dog. That guy can go, and I think he's going to do really, really good things at Evangel, and eventually be a highly 5-star recruit. Michigan, y'all looking,
Yeah.
y'all
He
need
already
one.
is.
Just
He
I
already
know.
is.
I'm saying, Michigan Wolverines, y'all looking, hey, here you go. Come to Louisiana, go to Shreveport. But here's the problem I have with Evangel. And follow me here, because when you look at what has moved up to Division One, St. Thomas More is there. I don't think Evangel on a 48-minute game, line it up against that team, beats them. I think St. Thomas More has the measure of them. Those guys, they run. Cole Bergeron is going to be a real nice quarterback for them. There's a lot of hype about that kid. He was in a starting battle there to replace, I forget the quarterback's name from last year, but
Sam
Cole
Altman.
has a lot of potential.
Sam
He's a
Altman.
six, yeah, Sam, 6'3", 215. That's a legit 6'3", 215. And what Jim Hines, with his teams, they're so well coached, well disciplined. I think Evangel can be at best this year. I don't think they should have made the move to Division One. I'm not sure they're good enough to win right now. Maybe with Peyton getting experience and adding some talent, at the skill positions that Jimmy Watson was mentioning, maybe it takes a year for them to really get a foothold of Division One. But I don't think it's this year. I think they'll go to, I'd say, a quarterfinal max. But I'm not sure they beat STM, and you got Turlings there, but Turlings, uh, they lost Preston Welch and a lot. I'm not sure they're going to be extremely relevant. And you got the Catholic League. I mean, do you really think they beat any of the Catholic League teams? Carr,
It's
Easton.
possible. It's possible.
It's possible,
I don't.
but if
I
you
don't
line them
think.
up in
I
a
don't
in a
think.
one
I
off,
don't think. I don't think they'll be Carr. I'm not sold on Easton yet. We'll see. We'll
they're
see.
I
too young.
I,
Um,
I
but
hate I
but
hate to
other
say it.
teams. Hold on,
Oh,
bro.
I'm sorry. I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Interrupter.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You good?
Yeah, he good. But what other teams as like a Brother Martin, it could happen.
Curtis?
Um,
JT?
I'm gonna say no to
I don't think
Curtis.
so.
And Holy Cross, we're gonna see what they have this year. They're supposed to be legit again. So, but I think there are some teams that they can defeat. I'm just you got a quarterback like Peyton Houston, it can happen. Go ahead, VK.
I hate to say this, and I'm gonna be like this right now. You know what I'm saying? I hate to say it, like if Evangel is battle tested, they're capable of beating anybody. Just to be honest, and could they beat Carr? I hate to say it, yes. Here's the thing about Carr: they got to get over the hump of being in Division One select. They have not got past the quarterfinals.
They was in the
And in
semis
that
last
sense,
year. They was in the
well,
semis last
Semis.
well,
year.
they haven't got past the semis. I'm sorry, they haven't got to the dome. It's been, and it's not just the fact because they've been in Division One. It's been almost a whole decade since they got back to the dome. It's been a while for in the car.
What you mean? It's been 5 years.
5 years? Wait, hold on.
2019. 2019.
19. I'm sorry. Let's make it 5 years. I'm
And they
sorry. I
lost.
apologize.
Didn't they lose
They
that
lost.
final?
Yeah, they lost.
No,
They lost.
they won 2019.
One
They
2019.
lost 2020, the COVID year in Natchitoches.
2020, sure did.
2020. They
Yeah.
lost to Karen Crow.
So it's
But they ain't been there in a while, though.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. So the thing is now they got to get over that hump to get past the semis and stuff. And the thing about Evangel, they continue to get battle tested. I think this might be the year Carr might get over, but we'll see. But Evangel is a type of team that you might not want to see if they get it together because they could put a dent. It could be Curtis, it could be St. Aug, it could be anybody. The thing is, you can't underestimate them because if you do and you leave a window open, they're gonna find a way to win it. Don't do
Definitely.
it against Evangel. Just don't do it. If you're gonna find a way to close the door against them, you better close the door now. You don't. If this window leaves open, Evangel gonna find a way.
Jordan, no, it's not too early, brother. It's not too early to jump on the Crow train. We're going to take a quick commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. And when we come back, we will have our good friend, Chris Singleton, as we talk about the Bayou area teams right here on the Hash It Out Show.
Head boys basketball coach at Bonneville High, and you're watching the Hash It Out Show. Go.
Welcome to Bayou AV Security. My name is Rusty Mathern, proud owner and operator. We specialize in providing top-notch audio solutions, advanced security cameras, reliable internet services, and stunning permanent holiday lighting. At Bayou AV Security, we are your one-stop shop for all your needs, whether it's enhancing your home entertainment system, securing your property, ensuring a seamless internet connection, or illuminating your outdoor spaces. We've got you covered. We are locally owned and conveniently located on the West Bank. As a fully licensed business, we take pride in delivering quality service you can trust. You can see our exceptional work showcased in the parade of homes. Experience the Bayou difference firsthand. Bayou AV Security, where technology meets reliability. Call us today to experience the Bayou difference.
And welcome back to the Hash It Out Show. I'm your host, JB the Sports Guy, joined by VK Jones and George Peppers. And VK, man, somebody just commented on the show with Matt Moscona, and they said, "No, VK, no, man. It's not ending, VK. You know." And I thought after today it'll be over, and people are still talking about it, VK.
I'm not worried about it, man. They can talk all they want to. It's more attention for me. It's all
Yeah,
good.
you should go viral with this.
I want to go viral. You know what I'm saying? Because it's okay when Vanderbilt wins games early, everybody gonna be just wallowing in their sorrows and everything else, and that's when you got to really take a vacation.
He's talking about Vanderbilt University, everybody. But joining us now is our good friend from the Bayou area who's going to talk about these Bayou area teams. The one, the only Chris Singleton, my friend. Welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing good, guys. How you guys doing tonight, man? Seem like you guys going full steam ahead, um, ruffling some feathers from what I'm hearing. Huh?
Yeah, a
Hey, it's
little
football
bit, a
season.
little bit. VK ruffled the feathers the other night, talking about Vanderbilt University going to shock some teams in the SEC, man, and that got people talking, man.
In football?
Yeah, football, yeah, yeah. That's what VK said. Yeah,
I haven't heard Vanderbilt doing all that in football and SEC play since the early '90s, maybe late '80s or something, man. It's been a
there you
while.
go.
Well, you can't forget about the James Franklin years. You know what I'm saying? That was some great years. Remember, they won about eight. They won 8 and 10 1 year. So in 3 years under James Franklin. So you don't remember that, Jared?
I don't remember the 10-win season. I remember 8 for sure.
They won. They if they didn't win 10, they won 9. I knew they
Okay.
won 8, and then they won 9s. That was a 3 year most successful years, probably maybe in a long time for Vanderbilt. So
Yeah, but right now we like me and Chris, we don't see that happening. But let's move
of course not.
along.
Of
Let's
course
move
not.
along. Uh-huh. Chris, what can you tell us about the Terrebonne Tigers after the second district loss? You know, came up short against Westgate, but it's a step in the right direction.
Well, first of all, I'm just happy that it's football season again here in Bayou. It's always a great time if you live here in Terrebonne, Lafourche, uh, St. Mary, Assumption, St. James parishes, and it's going to be another great year. I know these coaches and players have been fired up all year to get back on the football field, and it's finally time to go. We're ready to get back on the sidelines and watch some really good teams play. And I'm looking forward to it. And you started off with a heavy hitter, probably one of the best teams we got coming back in Terrebonne. I know they had a great year last year making the playoffs. I thought it could have been a little bit better. Unfortunately, they lost at the end to I think one of the final regular season games against Thibodeau that cost them a home playoff game, and had to go on the road against Westgate that first game and in the playoffs. And it's never easy going to New Iberia and playing Westgate because they do a great job out there. And Terrebonne, they still had chances, but it's just so hard in 5A playoffs. Um, with that said, they lost a lot of great players off that team last year. Some very key players, and everybody knows the big guy now at LSU, Kylan Billiot at receiver, probably one of the best receivers that Terrebonne has had the last couple of years. And they put out some really good players the last couple of years with Ja'Kai Douglas and Jalen Lucas, who are now at Florida State. And you can go back, Mason Smith, who went to LSU now with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they put out a lot of great, 5-star talent in the last 5-10 years. So Colin Billiot joins that group, and now he's going on. He's at LSU, and they lost some other really good ones. Chase Johnson at running back, who's now at Louisiana Christian, I think, in Pineville, and Talon Bingham, who's here at Nichols at defensive line. So they have to replace a lot of really good seniors. With that said, they still have a lot of really explosive players still in that system. Um, Probably one of the fastest guys in the state, at running back, and Alvin Celestine, they call him YJ. If you ever seen him run, he can make you miss, and if he gets a hold, he's going all the way to the end zone touchdown. Got probably one of the best offensive linemen in the state, rising, and Orion Mosley, big 6'3", 295 guy who has a lot of SEC offers. Alvin also has some rising offers, SEC offers, and they got some really good, a big receiver, Quincy McKay, who just committed to Tuskegee, and some other some good guys who they're going to be counting on that's going to be stepping up into some new leadership positions now that they lost such a great senior class last year. And I know that coaching staff, they've worked hard. They went all over the place this summer, did some really good stuff. I think they won one of the Saints camp 7-on-7s this last month. So they've shown that they can compete. Now The question is now, if you're asking me if they're going to win a state championship, who knows? Are they going to win a district championship? They're in there with Destrehan. Destrehan's not going anywhere. Hineville's probably going to be rebuilding some things. East St. John, Coach Brown has done a great job. Um, it's going to be a challenge. I like to call it the SEC West Division of 5A football over the years because they got some heavy hitters there along the river and the bayou. But the bayou teams, they've been trying to contend, and uh, it'll be good. I think Terrebonne's going to be one of the teams that make the playoffs. I think they can make a run if they can stay healthy, if they can get those new young players some experience down the line and get a good playoff spot. I think if they can get a home game at Tom B. Smith and Homa, that'd be great for that community because they're ready to support football. So Terrebonne has a lot of excitement going on, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play this year.
Most definitely. Edie White was looking to compete in the championship last year, and they came up short with a loss in the quarterfinals to Turley's Catholic. Now Edie White moves up to 4A. What can you tell us about this Edie White team for this season?
Well, like you said, that district is now probably really legit now. You got Edie White, who's I've been here covering football for like almost 20 years, and Edie White has always been good. They've always had, consistent team, well-coached team. They're not going to make a lot of mistakes. They're going to hit you hard every play, and they're going to play good defense. They got a lot of hard-hitting guys, and the coaching staff with Coach Kyle Lasine, and those guys have been around for a long time, and they know what they want to do. They want to run that football right up the gut, and they want to beat you physically. It's gonna be the same Edie White team. They lost some heavy hitters too. They last couple of years they've had a lot of success, and they pretty much dominated a lot of games. They won a lot of games. They lost their quarterback, who was pretty good, and Jake Sternfields, and they lost one of their workhorses at running back in Jeff Dietrich for graduation. They lost their receiver, Paxton LaFont, who's now here at Nichols. They lost some really good defenders also. With that said, they have some young guys coming up, and some best thing about Edie White is they have a good system where they play a lot of their experienced players the last couple of years, but they also have some younger guys come in from here and there, and was able to get some carries. I remember that game against St. James last year. They had some young guys when they were dealing with some injuries that came in and helped them go to Bashery and pick up a big win. That's going to be key this year as they break in a new quarterback in Grant Barbera, and they still got some really good offensive linemen, Hudson Oncal and Philip Hillman, tight end Zach Ginn, linebackers Jack Streesh and MJ Sternfields. And you may not know a lot about these guys. They probably got one of the best kickers in the state in Ty Powell, who's very consistent all-state kicker, and he's going to be playing college football very soon. With that said, is they're moving up. They're in that 4A district now with the Letchers, the Vanderbilts, and Assumptions, and for the Bayou teams, Letcher's really a river team, but Coach Jenkins does a great job year in and year out, and they probably have the most returning starters of anybody in that district. Assumption, they shocked everybody last year, winning that district. They went to Letcher, beat Letcher, and last year made it to the third round of the playoffs. They have a lot of great weapons coming back. Offensive lineman Jace Williams, and they have a new quarterback, Landon Sanchez, and some really good running backs. And I'm trying to give me a second. Let me get his name. Caleb Davis, a really good running back. And a lot of people don't know a lot about Assumption, but they almost made it to the semifinals last year. They played Northwest pretty good. So Vanderbilt probably got one of the best running backs in the state. Jalen Coleman, a Liberty commit. He has SEC offers. They're good. Every year they have a new coach. And Brian Wallace, who's a former assistant coach. So, Nichols has had a lot of success in football, winning a lot of conference championships. So he's bringing that college experience and that game planning to Vanderbilt now. Vanderbilt's really good. They have a lot of new young players stepping in, but Jalen Coleman is going to make him go. And, if you ever seen him play, I don't know if y'all seen him play, but, he's fast, he's elusive, and he's had over 1,500 yards the last 3 years of high school football in 4A, and that just shows you why SEC schools were after him, and he chose Liberty. But to answer your question, Edie White, it's definitely going to be a contender. There always are, because that coaching staff knows how to scheme. If you go into Edie White, you go in there, you're playing sloppy, you're making turnovers, you underestimate them. More than likely, you're going to lose. Uh, and that's going to be a very fun district, that they're going to be in. Edie White, Vanderbilt, Assumption, Letcher is probably the top four. Um, but can Edie White make a run when it's time to make the playoffs? I'm never going to say never, because that's an established program. If they can stay healthy and the coaching staff get those guys ready to play, the sky's the limit. They can, they can make it to the dome. And the same case with Assumption and Vanderbilt, so and Letcher. So that's gonna be a fun district, and those top four teams are going to go at it and they're going to battle. And you can't count out the other teams too: South Terrebonne, South Lafourches, and even Morgan Cities and Ellanders. They're trying to rebuild their teams too. But that's going to be a fun district, and I encourage local fans to go watch those teams play this year.
VK.
Chris Singleton, man, it's good to have you. Good to have you
Yeah,
on, man.
you got that.
Yes, sir. And go Colonels, my man.
Yeah, go Colonels, go Nichols.
All day.
Salton Campus champs, man.
Yes, sir. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about you gave a lot of answers on that last one. I mean,
Yep.
you covered a lot,
He did.
but
Yeah,
that puts it down there. But let's talk about the Lafourche schools. Let's see what's going on. What's going on in Central Lafourche and what's going on in South Lafourche. Look like they're trying to get out of each other way, but it's been a lot of ups and downs with those two programs in itself. What's going on in Matthews and what's going on in Galliano?
Well, start with the 5A school, Central Lafourche. They've lost a lot of games the last 5 years. They've had a lot of coaching changes, coming and going. In my opinion, the biggest issue for Central Lafourche has been, the inconsistency with their coaching staffs. And as a young player, when you have to answer to a different leader every year, that's difficult. Maybe that new leader will come in and change some things up. But now they have they've settled on a new coach who's been there a long time, athletic director, is Shelly Bezos. And even though they didn't win a lot of games under his first full year last year, uh, he has brought some consistency now. And the only way that you can go now for Central Lafourche is up. Because once you've been rock bottom for so long, the players, they start getting more hungrier to win. They don't have a lot of 5-star athletes. Unfortunately, they're in a very tough district with Destrehan's and Hornbills, East St. John's, Terrebonne's, HLs. That's a cutthroat district. And but with that said, is I've been around for a while, and what's that?
You good? Go ahead.
Okay. With that said,
I don't know.
Central Lafourche has athletes, and I've been around the last couple of years. I've seen them have athletes in Raceland area. They can compete now that they have a coaching staff. Hopefully, they got a really good coaching staff who can put them in position to win. I think they're capable of winning some games this year. They can sneak up on some teams. They have a really great fan base in Central Lafourche that travels well, and I've seen them have 1-9 seasons, and their home side of the stadium's packed. And that says a lot about their fan base. And it'd be great for those guys to try to get some wins this year. South Lafourche, they've had a little bit more success recently, and under Coach BJ Young, they're a hard-hitting team. South Lafourche, that's one thing about those kids from down the bayou. That's what they call them, down the bayou kids. Those kids are hard-hitting. They're never going to quit. They're never going to go into a game not thinking that they're going to, not fight you for 4 quarters. They're ready to play every night. They, just like Central, they may not have like a roster full of 5-star, 4-star athletes, and maybe not even 3-star or anything. But they're a school trying to live up to their programs expectations, and they've had a lot of success throughout their school history. They have to replace their star quarterback last year in Carson Ogeron to graduation. They lost 7 starters to defense, but a lot of those young players who are now stepping in are going to be counted to do some great things. They really got Coach young. They really have a really good young explosive quarterback in Josh Mack, who's a former receiver now going, I think, playing quarterback. So they're trying to, mix things up, open it up a little bit. And Coach Young has done a great job. He's a good coach. He's he's been coaching around the state, especially in the river parishes in the past. So he knows winning football. He has a history of being around good programs. And, if they can stay healthy and, really maybe shock some people in that 4A district, with Edie Rice Islanders and Vanderbilts and Lutchers and all those other teams, I think, they can have a really good year. So yeah, down the Bayou Lafourche teams, Thibodeau is 5A obviously, but Central and South Lafourche, they have a history of, doing some good football. If they can stay healthy and have some more consistency, I think they can maybe win a couple games this year.
Let's go on the other end. Thibodeau. What does the Thibodeau Tigers bring this season?
Well, Thibodeau is Thibodeau, and one thing I'm excited, to see is, obviously Coach Dre Troscolaire, who's been around too. He's won a lot of games, Ascension Catholic, Plaquemine, Liberty, and Baton Rouge, and so he's won some games where wherever he's been. He's going into year 2, and one thing I've noticed with Thibodeau is, one thing I noticed with Coach Troscolaire is usually in year 2, that's where the success start coming in. Last year was a rebuilding year, and it was a reloading year with a new coach and a new scheme, a new system, a new energy. And now that they've been together for a whole off season, I really think Thibodeau could definitely, maybe shock some people. Not a lot of people are talking about Thibodeau right now. They are young, but they have some young good talent coming in. They have their quarterback returning and Braden Becknell, and some really good athletes and Cohen Giroux and Tyler England. Charles Howard's a really good defensive end. Kyron False, who's a really good receiver. Lawrence Benger is a really good defensive back. So they got some talent, and their quarterback passed for over 1,700 yards and 23 touchdowns last year. So, they're going to try to move the ball all over the field. And that's one of the things that Thibodeau has done. That's one thing that Dre Troscolaire likes to do, and his coaching staff, and that community, they breed winners. You see what they're putting out right now. Kyron Lacey at LSU and Meek Robertson, doing this thing for the Detroit Lions right now. Greg Robinson, Trevon Reeds over the years. So a lot of those kids, they watch those players, come up. So now it's their turn in the limelight for Thibodeau, and there's a lot of excitement in that community. I'm looking forward to Thibodeau. Now, can they compete in district? That's going to be another question that they're going to have to answer. Obviously, that district's tough, but Dre, he has his system now over there. So I'm looking forward to see how they play and compete and just making the playoffs and competing and maybe winning a playoff game here and there. That'd be a great stepping stone, not only for Thibodeau, but for a lot of those other 5A teams like Terrebonne and Central Lafourche and even HL in that 5A district here.
Let's talk about your alma mater, the Morgan City Tigers. A lot's been going on the last couple of years, up and down more than anything else. But some way, somehow, progress. They go 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, or whatever. What your alma mater, Morgan City, what they got going on this year?
Well, before I talk football, I got to pump up Morgan City on this show. So excuse me. Everybody's been watching the Olympics the last 2 weeks, and we all saw Vernon Tootie Norwood represent not only Morgan City, but the whole state. He went to LSU, but Morgan City is his hometown. Well, he's from New Orleans, but we put him on. He put us on the map, in Morgan City. He's a Morgan City guy now. But I got to give him a shout out. He just won 2 gold. He won a gold medal and I think a silver medal in the Olympics in Paris. And with that said, his success has kind of been an uplift in Morgan City this in the last couple of weeks and last couple of months. And Morgan City has a lot of great things going on. They got some construction at the stadium going on. They're resurfacing the track. The stadium's going to look really nice this year. With that said, obviously, they won a couple of games last year, some really hard-fought games, but they lost a lot of games. And they when they get to district, obviously they struggle because they're going to get some really good teams that are more explosive, more experienced. more consistency on the coaching staff. But I look forward to seeing Morgan City. They have a new coach, Mark Danos, and I know him. He was assistant at HL Bourgeois the last couple of years, and he's a good guy. And I think now that they have a really good coach, I think that we're going to see them try to win some more games this year. With that said, I'm not expecting them to win more than 5 games. That'd be great. If they win more than 5 games, I'll come on this show and we'll have a big celebration party, I guess. And I'll wear my Morgan City hats and stuff. But they've always got the talent. They got a good coaching staff. Now, can they just get some experience with some of those young players? They got a really good quarterback. I watched last year, Thomas Mancuso. He's a really good athlete. He has a strong arm, able to get the ball down the field. And one of the key areas I'm looking forward to see from Morgan City is how well they play on the offensive and defensive lines. That they can protect some of their skill players. I think that they can maybe move the ball a little bit more. But it's still going to be very hard, because that district's no joke. And but for Morgan City, a team that's last 10. Morgan City hasn't made the playoffs since 1998, and that's when I was in high school. That's been a long time. And they usually don't win a lot of games, no more than 3, mostly probably in the last 10 something years. So anytime that Morgan City can win a game, that's a step up in the right direction, and hopefully that's a step up in towards making that team a annual contender in that very tough district. But they do have Morgan City does have some players. They got some talent, and they just have to believe in themselves. They have to believe in the system, get the community behind them, and I think that they can have some success if they can just find a way to play 4 quarters and get it done.
You mentioned transition from New Orleans to Morgan City, the Olympian. There was another athlete in the past. You might have played with him that transitioned from New Orleans to Morgan City, and his name was Edward Dangerfield.
That's my cousin.
That played. Really? Didn't know that.
That's my cousin.
Me and him, we knew each other well. He used to be out in Algiers until him and his mom and them moved out there to Morgan City, man. So that's one of my guys, man. So you talk about transition, we already know how the success is out there. So it's all in the good.
Man, it was something, man. He was very explosive. He was one of I was a freshman. I think I was an 8th grade freshman when he was tearing it up as a senior at Morgan City. And unfortunately, when he went to LSU, I know he had a lot of injuries that kept him off the field. But man, he's probably one of the best players I've ever seen play at Morgan City. And hopefully, we got they can develop some more great athletes. Morgan City area, people don't think they love football, but they really do have some football lovers there. And, Patterson area with the Hilliards, who are also my cousin also. But yeah, it's great to see Ed. It's been a long time since he played, but hopefully Morgan City can, find a way to get back to that level where they're putting players going on to LSUs or going on to the NFL again in football. And, that starts, with building it up the right way. And hopefully Coach Danos and his coaching staff can find a way to get some momentum going into that program. And hopefully all that success from Vernon Norwood and, past guys like, Ed Dangerfield, Herman Hartman can carry on to the new generation of young athletes over there in Morgan City.
George Peppers, you're up.
Hey, Chris Singleton, first off, thank you for taking the time for joining us here on the Hash It Out Show, one of our many experts from around the state, and we appreciate you giving us your expertise in the Bayou. And I don't know who you haven't talked about in depth yet, but I want to get in depth about one of the newer programs in the area, the Homer Christian. Tell us about them.
Yeah, Homer Christian last year was a really good year for them under Coach Jamar Celestine. I've known Coach Jamar for a while now. He used to be a Terrebonne assistant coach, offensive coordinator under some really good teams. In the last 10 years at Terrebonne, I think when they had guys like Jalen Lucas and Ja'Kai Douglases, and what he's done is he's brought a lot of energy to that small school in Homer Christian that really isn't. They've had some success in football, but now they have expectations. And when you have a coach like Coach Celestine coming in, he's bringing energy. The players start believing in themselves, and yeah, they have small numbers, but they're gonna fight hard, and they may get beat. They may get beat. Yeah, they may. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Okay,
We
I'm
got you.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you good.
But Homer Christian was, they had a lot of success. They made the playoff last year. They won a lot of games. They fought hard, even in losses. They fought hard, and unfortunately, they lost to Menard in the playoffs in the second round. But they lost some players. They lost some players, that from last year's team that they're going to be looking to replace, and but they're going to be young again. But I feel like Coach Celestine, he's done a good job. He's been working them hard, and I really look forward to see if they can take another step up. They're going to be in a very tough district now. They're playing in 2A ball with the Franklins and the Laurelvilles and Catholic New Iberias, and those teams are
Yeah.
established programs, and they're very
Yeah.
tough, and they also have more numbers probably than Homer Christian does as far as on the roster. But it's all about building for the future for Homer Christian. They may, they can win anywhere between 3, 4, 5 games. That would be a success for them, and they're going to try to set the tone for the upcoming seasons. And that's all you can do when you're a small program like that. Just keep winning, keep getting the kids confidence, keep getting them exposure. I think they're going to be playing a lot more bigger schools this year, especially locally. I think they got a game scheduled against Ellender. That's going to be exciting for them because they're used to playing those small schools like themselves. So they're probably going to try playing some more 3, 4, 5A teams. So it's all about building for the future for Homer Christian. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, and I think it's going to be fun. And they're on a rise, definitely. The school is a really good school. They built up the school there. They have a really large waiting list to get into the school, so there's a lot of excitement around Homer Christian. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do this year.
Let's talk about another established program, the Patterson Lumberjacks, a team that has had talented teams back in the day with Kenny Hilliard, and of course you go further back to I think his uncle Dalton. But their years have been a little bit lean the last few. But that's a proud program. What do you see from the Lumberjacks this year?
Well, last year, the last couple of years have been pretty tough. I remember 2 years ago, they were right there in the quarterfinals, and they unfortunately had to go up against Union Parish, and they had some really good players. I think maybe 2, 3 years ago. The last 2 years have been kind of tough. I know last year they probably won 3 games, and they have a new coach, Coach Craig, who's Shannon Craig, excuse me, who's trying to rebuild that program. And you look and see, like you just said, Patterson is really well known for football. I mean, the home of Who Dat. Really, you go to Patterson, they'll tell you they created Who Dat. They got it on signs in the football stadium at the Sugar Dome in Patterson.
I
But
saw it. I saw it on the news. That whole
right.
story about it. That's
Yeah,
where it
yeah.
started from.
When Dalton Hilliard was there in the '80s, when they were winning all those games, who that said they're gonna beat them Jacks? I mean, that's a very popular saying, even to this day in Patterson. So, with the Hilliards over the years, Kenny Hilliard and Ike Hilliard, those are also my cousins. So I got some good blood in me. So, but I want to see Patterson win again. It just doesn't feel like football. Patterson isn't good. I mean, when they're struggling and they don't have a lot of players in the program, or I know they have talent in Patterson because those kids is in their DNA. They grew up playing football, and now that they have a coach in, hopefully they can get the scheme up, and they got some really good players. I think Courtney Williams is a good prospect. I heard. So they may not have a lot of 5A, 4A football players, 5-star, 4-star football players like they traditionally have. But, getting the program back in the right direction is very essential, especially in a very tough district that they're going to be playing in with St. James and Donaldsonville's. And I think that, now, especially now that Edie White's moved up, maybe they can, try to maybe win some more games this year. And, like you say, if Patterson's good, everybody in Patterson's feeling there's no tougher place to play probably in the state than, at the Sugar Dome over there in Patterson. And, I think that, I don't know if they're going to win a lot of games. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but, just getting that program on the right track again, more than 3 wins, I think, would be a very a good thing for them going forward in the future.
Another team that's had it rough for the last couple of years is South Terrebonne, the Gators. Another program that's a pretty proud program as well. They've had good teams in the past, but it's been a little bit rough for them. What are you seeing from that group this year?
You say South Terrebonne? That's
Yes.
who you
Yes,
said,
sir.
South Terrebonne. Yeah, South Terrebonne. Yeah, South Terrebonne is
Yes.
definitely, like you mentioned, South Terrebonne as that's probably one of, in my opinion, since I've been here, probably one of the most successful programs. I know in the last 5-10 years they haven't won a lot of games, but before that, they were annual playoff teams, and that was before the split. With Coach Curlin, who was there for a long time, and now he's retired. They've had some really good players like Philip Livis, and he's probably the best that I've ever seen here in Houma. He went on Louisiana Tech Saturday Night Livis, and he's done a lot of great things. It may not be the South Terrebonne of old, but one thing I'm happy for South Terrebonne, first of all, is when you think about the Houma schools, the last 3 years or so, they've been dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Ida, and
Right.
in some ways that kind of, that's like the team has been playing behind the 8 ball, you can say, because it's very difficult having to travel all over the place to have practices, and not being able, at one point, they had to play their games at another place before they got their stadium fixed up and ready to go. The school is still being repaired, and they're in portables up front, while the school's being repaired. The same thing with Ellender too. That's been a challenge, especially with those players having to rebuild their lives, having to see their families rebuild their lives too. In some ways, it hasn't always been about football. It's just been about, okay, let's just get our feet back under us, right? And another thing is, but with South Terrebonne, they have a really good coach in Aaron Babin, and he's in his 2nd year. And I've known Coach Babin for a while. He was an assistant coach at some really good places at Vanderbilt Catholic previously before, and he also spent some time at Central Lafourche when they were winning some games too. One thing about South Terrebonne is, they're going to fight hard. They got some size up front, and they got some athletes. Their quarterback, Trey Pennell, returns as quarterback. Brody Dupree was their running back. I think he had over 900 yards last season. So they got some heavy hitters on defense with Neville and a lot of rising young guys. I remember watching South Terrebonne within the last 2 years, and they took some teams to the end, 4 quarters, and they were probably a player. Last 2 years, Terrebonne, I remember watching them play Terrebonne, and they were probably a player or 2 away from going on the road and beating Terrebonne when they had Christian Arsenault, a really good quarterback. So they fight hard. They're not going to give up, and you got to really play them hard. And just like South Lafourche, those guys, and those are Bayou kids. They work hard, they play hard, they believe in themselves, and they represent South Terrebonne with pride. So if they can win a couple of games this year in that district, that would be great. I think they can make the playoffs. If they can, it's going to come down to if they can take care of business against, the Morgan Cities or maybe the Ellenders. That's, maybe 2 games there. Vanderbilt, that's a little rivalry with Vanderbilt too, so they can probably, if they take care of business, they can win 3, maybe 4 games and be in playoff contention if it works out for them. And that'll say a lot for South Terrebonne. So yeah, that's definitely a team that you can, is trying to get back to the level that they've traditionally been at. And I definitely would like to see them win more games this year, because they have a really dedicated fan base and a coaching staff, and Coach Babin is a really, he knows what he's doing. So I'm looking forward to seeing what improvements that South Terrebonne has made this year.
And that's one of the common threads in the Bayou with the bad teams that their fan bases are really, really strong. One more team I want to ask you about, then I have another question, is Eleanor, the Patriots. Another team, again, it feels like rinse, lather, repeat when I'm asking you about the teams that are bad, but Eleanor's another team that's struggled. What are the Patriots looking at this year?
As for which team is that?
Eleanor.
Eleanor.
Ellender. Yeah, Ellender is, just like South Terrebonne, they're trying to rebuild their program. And in some ways, Ellender took a really hard hit also from Hurricane, and they're starting to get their school back up too. So, and they, trying to find good places to play. But Ellender is, they didn't win a game last year, but they
Yeah.
do have some talent, and they got a really good, a young quarterback, Chris Lopez, and they also got another guy who might be competing for quarterback time, and Trevante Ulrich, and they got some big play weight, another big weapon for them, Calvin Robinson. Excuse me if I don't pronounce the names right. Calvin Robinson. There you go. It's all about getting those kids to believe in themselves now. Getting that community back out at the game, supporting them. It's traditionally a basketball school, right? I mean, everybody thinks Ellender, they think about basketball. But now, over the last couple of years, a lot of those basketball players are now playing football too, and they have some athleticism. Coach John Hazlitt, he's been there for a long time as an assistant coach, and the last couple of years, he's finally stepped in as the head coach, and um, he's working hard, man. I took a couple of trips there, last year, and just seeing him at practice, and he's working hard. Those kids are working hard. You may not people see, oh, they're not winning games, and don't think that those kids are not working hard. Sometimes, yeah, it's fun to be a member like a Carr or John Curtis that wins every year, but when you have a team that maybe doesn't win every year, I kind of respect a lot of those kids that still show up every day, trying to rebuild, trying to make the best of a situation that's very difficult. And I think Ellender, it's a team where they played a lot of young players last year. Hopefully those young players got some experience, and I think that they can, you know, maybe who knows, maybe win a game here or maybe two games, and that just like a lot of teams down here, just winning some games. They may not win a lot of games, but just winning 1, 2, 3 games will help set them for the future. And but you still can't count them out, because like I say, those players, they play for pride more than anything. So you back a Patriot in the corner, he's gonna fight you to the end, right? So I think Coach Hazlitt, if those kids can keep believing, they can definitely experience some great things this year. And I want to see him win, because those two schools, South Terrebonne, Ellender, even South Lafourche, I think those were the three schools that took the heaviest hits from Hurricane Ida a couple of years ago, and they're now trying to get back into a rhythm and get back to playoff success, and putting players on the next level and everything.
Last question for me. A result that opened up eyes around the state in the playoffs last year was Assumption knocking out Lutcher. And that was a result that really opened a lot of people's eyes. It was like, wow, the defending champions getting beat by them. Is there a team in your area that you feel like qualifies as one that can sneak up on people this year and maybe duplicate something like that? If there is, who is it?
Yeah, that's for Assumption, you say?
He's saying,
Well, no, not. I
he's
mean,
saying, is there a team that you think can be on a come up like Assumption of last year?
Yeah, I think Assumption. That's the answer. Assumption. I think Assumption. I went there a couple of days ago, and they still got a lot of great players. They lost their all-world player last year, Reese Turner. Who all you put him at quarterback, you put him at running back, or even as a he plays all over the field. But they still have some really good players coming back. I think Assumption. A lot of people are going into it, might pick Letcher to win it. They could probably pick Edie White, but those Mustangs, man, they fight you hard. They got some excitement there because they're finally getting turf this year. This is the first. I was talking to some of the seniors, and it's kind of they kind of lit up when I said, "Yeah, y'all going to be the first team in Assumption Parish history to ever have your own turf field." Um, but Assumption definitely, Coach Will Broussard and his staff has done a really good job, and they got some really good players coming back. Even though they lost some really good guys like Reese Turner, Brody Robichaux, Alfred Kennedy, and Chase Jacobs, They got some good ones. Landon Sanchez as a quarterback. They got Kobe Beamer coming back as a really good young receiver. Caleb Davis again. Jace Williams at offensive line and defensive line. They got 9 starters, so they're trying to prove that last year wasn't a fluke. So assumption, you still got to keep your eye on them. I think another school that most probably a lot of people don't know we haven't talked about yet was in that 1A district, Central Catholic, the Eagles in Morgan City, also Covenant Christian out of Gray and Homer. Covenant Christian, definitely. Coach Jesse Turner, who's a former Ellender coach, moved there at least a year or two ago, and he's brought a level of excitement there. He's a former Nichols player, a lot of energy, and he has probably a really good collection of skill players coming. With Jaden Carter at receiver and Jahari Carter, Bailey Strings, and good running back in Connor Lally. 2 really good linebackers in Owen and Peyton Troskler, and athlete in Carson Abear. So they have a lot of excitement over there, CCA, and I feel like, even though they may not have, the depth or maybe the size along the offense and defensive lines that they would like, but I think, they're going to try to move the ball all over the field. So, that's a team to watch out for in Monday, and it's also Central Catholic, and, they're good year in and year out under Coach Grogan. And they got Ben Case at quarterback. So those are 3 teams I think you really got to keep your eyes on. St. James, we haven't mentioned them yet. Even though a lot of people say St. James, they made it to the Dome and they lost a lot. Their quarterback Braden Williams, Kobe Brown, a lot of really good guys. But they have some really young hitters coming up, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Jakias Villanueva, a really explosive receiver. In their defensive backfield, Jai Blaine, linebacker Chad and Parker, Jarrell Williams and Gary Wright and Gerald Jones on defense. Those guys are really good. So a lot of people think St. James is going to fall off the earth, but they're going to maybe take some licks here and there because they're going to have a new quarterback and they got some issues on the lines. But I think St. James can. They're going to be St. James, man. You can't count out the Wildcats, man. You can. They got a hard non-district schedule, but I think that they can compete and probably win district again, and then get in the playoffs. And from there, just where the seedings fall, and and so those are a couple of schools that we haven't talked about. And one of the other ones was HL Bourgeois too. In 5A, they got a really good one of our best players in the area at defensive line, and he just committed to SMU, and Tyron Winslow. And we also got a really good offensive lineman in Kentra Lacey. So they won 2 games last year, but they got some size up front and offense, defensive lines. And they may not win district, but they can be a thorn in the side of some teams in that 5A district if if they count that. So that's just a glimpse of some of the teams on that I'm looking forward to seeing, and I think they can definitely have more success this year.
Most definitely. VK, you got a question?
Yeah. One other team we probably didn't talk about either. What does Donaldsonville have this year?
Well, Donaldsonville, they got a new coach now. Obviously, the coach from East Ascension, I think Coach Lee. If y'all know anything about East Ascension the last couple of years, now he's at Donaldsonville. In Donaldsonville, like I said, they got athletes in them, all over the field, track, basketball, football. Now it's gonna be a question in that district, with St. James. It's obviously St. James, Donaldsonville, Patterson, Berwick, and I might be forgetting someone else, but Edie White's not in that district anymore. But I think Donaldsonville, is a team that can definitely maybe shock some people. Definitely win some more games this year, and especially with a new coach, a new lifeline there, and the key now, who's going to win that district, it's going to depend who gets the most maybe out of their quarterback play and who controls the line of scrimmage, obviously. But I think St. James is definitely the favorite. Donaldsonville is right there with them, and they got players. Patterson got players. Burke got players. So it's going to be very fun to see those teams play. But Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what the new coach does there at Donaldsonville, and like you say, they got athletes there. Now can they just put the new coach with the athletes and get it all together? That's gonna be the key.
Chris Singleton, my friend, we truly, truly want to thank you and appreciate you for taking the time out of your schedule to join us and give us the preview on the Bayou area teams. We truly, truly appreciate it, my friend.
I got you. And like you say, man, if Morgan City wins, I'm coming back on here and we go celebrate Morgan City.
Yeah,
And
we're gonna do it. Yes,
Yeah,
that's a promise.
absolutely.
We keep that deal. We would do it.
but hopefully, yeah. I thank you guys, and I look forward to seeing y'all play. Y'all do a great job, and continue doing what y'all do. And if you ever need anything, let us know.
You got it, my brother. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it, Chris.
All right, y'all be good.
All right. Our good friend Chris Singleton giving us all the info on the Bayou area teams, my man Chris. So, man, we had a great show with Jimmy Watson and Chris Singleton. Everyone, we are coming back Monday, special night, Monday, 7:30. We are going to preview the New Orleans area teams. That's Jefferson Parish, that's Orleans Parish, and those two schools in Plaquemines Parish. We're gonna preview all of that on Monday. Our special guest, the legend himself, Mr. Ken Trahan. He's gonna join us and talk about that. Can't wait for that. Um, Tuesday we will do the North Shore of the New Orleans area, and that will be Mr. Joseph Holm joining us. So both shows will be at 7:30 Monday and Tuesday. Before we get out of here, Mr. VK Jones, do you have any last words that you want to say?
Well, Mr. George Peppers wants to, he wants to make
Oh
a
yeah, I got George. I know what he want to say. So
yeah, 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 yeah. But man, it's a good show tonight. I mean, it's been fun doing these previews. We getting ready for the season. All three of us. I mean, we went to the prep luncheon today and everything. I mean, very, very good food, good fellowship with all the coaches and everything. We had to put in a lot of work today, and I think we put down some ground where we got some stuff done, and that's what we gonna tell you about that in a minute. But man, I mean, talking to the coaches and everything, and also, continue to pray for the family of Ed Daniels and
yes,
everything. They're doing some special stuff for him, and man, we're gonna continue to push, man. We can't wait till the season starts. We are 3 weeks away. By next week, we'll be at 2 weeks. So we're almost there. We're getting ready. We're working hard to get ready for the Hash It Out Show game of the week. And us three, we got 3 weeks to prepare. So the hard work, you off air, you know what it is. It starts tomorrow. We got
that's right.
we've been on it and on it, but we gonna have to tread more and more coming up close to it.
That's right. George Peppers.
Well, let's hold off on the game announcements because we ran into a couple of hurdles today. Not really hurdles, but one game we thought we were going to get. We're going to work on that week. We announced this last night that week 5 and week 8, was it 8 or 9? Week 5 is Amy Kentwood and St. Charles Bell Chase. We do have those games locked down. Um, I know we're confident in the other ones, but
I
one of
I
the
could
weeks let's.
I could make the
I was going
announcement.
to say
We do have right now 3 more games locked. Really,
opening week.
4 more games locked. Okay. Here's the
Okay,
announcement.
opening week.
Not yet. We're almost there with opening week, but we do have week 2. Week 2,
That's Kennedy and Warren Easton.
Warren Easton, John F. Kennedy. That is locked. Week 3,
Mhm.
we're close. Let me make sure we get it. That
That's
was
St. Augustine, a school out of Missouri.
right. That's the next one. That we're working on that. It was the week 2 is locked. Week week 5. I believe it's what we got for week 5. That was
That's
Amy
Meet Kenwood.
Kenwood.
Yeah.
That's locked up.
Amy Kentwood.
Yeah, we're close to
Yes.
weeks. we're close to getting week 6. We should have an answer tomorrow on week 6. We have week 7 locked. Riverside and West St. John will be week 7's matchup
You talked to
on the
Coach Thomas
hashtag game.
already?
Yes, sir.
Edgar.
All right.
Yes, sir. He gave me the confirmation. He said he is okay with it. And we will have Riverside, West St. John for week number 7. Week number, like we mentioned, week number 8, we do have Bell Chase and St. Charles Catholic over at the Cage. Week number 9, that's locked too. And that will be a Saturday night tilt between the De La Salle Cavaliers and the John F. Kennedy Cougars. That will be a big one. That'll be senior night for Kennedy, and that will possibly be for the district championship. So that will be we got to, like I said, we're halfway there, and we're almost got every game. We're close, and we're working on it. We'll make the announcement on the rest of our games coming up.
Most definitely.
And it should be a great season too. Uh, it was great stuff last year, and the way we closed last year in the semifinal with that tantalizing tilt between Washington Christian and Southern Lab, that was a game that I'll never forget. VK, I turned to you at the 4-something minute mark, and I said, "Man, you know what? OCS is about to blow this game." I just had that feeling. I was like, they were buttoned down too much, and I said, "VK, it's going to take one play to spring Southern Lab," and it happened on the pick six. On the pick six, remember they got a big kick return and a pick six, and wham, they ran down Watchdog Christian. That you could have paid me $10 million and told me Washington Christian is going to blow this game. I'd have bet that they wouldn't have. But the way that game finished, and that was the way we closed out season 1. We're looking to open up season 2 with a bang. And oh, by the way, we talked about the lunch. You mentioned the lunch, and Coach L. Page and Coach Willie Brooks were like, "Man, when y'all going to give us some love?" I'm like, "Next week. Stay tuned. It's coming." And I was approached. I was approached by the.
I didn't know they told you that. Even Elphage. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did. But
Okay.
I was approached by the athletic director, John Arrett. They are going to celebrate their 50th graduating class this school year that's already started. And I was invited to the Wednesday scrimmage against McDonough 35 because I will be receiving an alumni shirt from
Okay.
John
There
Arrett.
you go. There you
So
go.
that's the reason I was asking you, Jared, earlier about that, because they're going to give me an alumni shirt. So, I'm 19, the class of 1990. That's 34 years.
34.
34.
Whoa.
Goodness.
Whoa. 34
Yeah,
years. Yes,
I'm trying to.
indeed.
Wow.
Whoa. Uh,
That's a long time.
that is a long time, man.
Well,
That is.
well,
And yeah,
well,
that's the idea. Often I see his comment.
Whose
oh
comment
yeah,
is
man.
Oh,
And that's what we try
freeze
to do.
time.
That's what we try to do. You know what I'm saying, Austin? You know what I'm saying? We
Yep.
try to bring the best matchups possible. And thank God that we had to wait on a couple things, but we got the ultimate blessing from a couple people at Crescent City Sports that gave us an opportunity to get the majority of the games on our list possible, and most likely probably maybe booked by tomorrow, hopefully. But they gave us the blessing to go get it, and we appreciate that very, very much. And hey, we're gonna handle our business
Collaboration
from
is a
there.
beautiful thing,
Collaboration,
bro.
beautiful thing, man. Just we just hoping that we get something from the other two networks, and knowing that we all good and we ain't gotta change nothing.
That's
You know what
right.
I'm saying? So
And to our esteemed host, one of the games we wanted, we're not gonna get, but it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna
it's
be all right.
yeah, we're gonna be fine, man. I know it was kind of hurting.
Hopefully week 10, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, I
Maybe
hope
we'll
we
get
get.
Kenner Discovery in week 6. I'm kidding.
I'm hoping
I'm
that week
kidding.
10 we do get that matchup. I know week 10 is going to be a lot of options. I wouldn't be surprised one of the networks we talked with is trying to get, a lot of people trying to get it, because
Yeah.
it's definitely an intriguing thing. We're hoping to get it to,
Hot,
because
hot
week
button
10
game.
because week 10 would be doubleheader week, and
Double
that'll be
header.
on time. We'll have a doubleheader week on that one, and it'll be a nice way to go out the regular season.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens, but Continue to support us. If you want to support the Hash It Out Show Game of the Week, we have affordable packages. If you have businesses or know somebody with a businesses, we have packages starting at $150. So come on, if you want to come support this thing, we need all the help we can as we get ready for the regular season, and your money is going to be worth everything. Because trust me, we're going to put your business out in all aspects, from the podcast all the way to game time. We're going to have your business out there. If you got a business or know a business, email JB, or actually hit us up on our social medias. Hit us up on our social media platforms, inbox us, emails, contacts, and we'll give you all the information on our sponsorship packages.
Most definitely. Everybody, that is it for our show tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to Chris Singleton. Thank you to Jimmy Watson, for BK Jones, for George GP Peppis. I am JB the Sports Guy. We'll see you here Monday, special night, 7:30, with the one and only Ken Trahan. Till then, y'all take care.
Larry's L. Page, the head football coach at John F. Kennedy High School, and you watching the Hash It Out Show.
Thank you for watching the Hash It Out Show. Please like, subscribe, and comment.